Hello, I just wanted to take 10 minutes or so to show you how you can build your own sort of Copilot experience and chat integration into your own existing app and a bit about how that works and what it might look like. So on the left-hand side, we've kind of got what represents a traditional application. In this case, it's like a to-do app. You can see the kind of things that I do in my life, quite exciting. And on the right-hand side is a kind of new chat experience like a Copilot, where you can have a conversation in natural language with your application. And this means rather than finding menu items and pressing buttons and things like that to interact with our software, we can use our voice, perhaps using speech to text, or perhaps we're typing in, but we can use English or whatever our own first language is to interact with computers and have a conversation. So I just want to sort of demonstrate what this might look like if you were to embed this in your own application and how it might work. So I can start by saying hi to the Copilot we have on the right here. And the Copilot has a visibility of the to-dos in our list. So I can ask it, what are my to-dos? And it should know straight away what my tasks are. So here we're kind of augmenting the knowledge in the language model. Everything it's been trained on, it knows what these things are. It's put a little icon there for the dog. It's augmenting that with the private information that our application has, that kind of application context, this object model of to-dos. As well as reading this content, we can also start to interact with it. So perhaps you want to create a new to-do. So remind me to make a sandwich as an important task that I must remember. And so what it's done here is it's identified the fact that I want to add a new to-do to the list by looking at my request here. It's figured out that the new task is to make a sandwich. And so what it wants to do, it wants to call a function called add to do, and it wants to pass make a sandwich as the argument here. And then you can see what's happened on the left-hand side here is the new to-do has been added to the list. And in fact, it's come back and told us that we now have a make a sandwich in the list. It's got a nice icon for that too. So how does that work? Well, when I make when the application makes a request to the Azure OpenAI endpoint, to the ChatGPT interface, with every request it includes a list of functions that are available to ChatGPT. Now ChatGPT can't call these functions directly, but rather it returns the intent to call them. So when I make this comment to add a sandwich, rather than responding back with a chat response, it responds back with a response to say that it wants to call a function. It identifies the name of the function and the argument to pass through here, and then my code is then responsible for calling that function, sanitizing the input and everything else, and then responding back, sending that response back to the ChatGPT interface. It can then see that the functions run successfully, and then it provides that information. And so this is a great way of making your chat experience able to actually go and action things and do things in your object model or in your application. So perhaps I've been very productive and I've been out and bought my milk, so I have bought some milk now. I can go and tell it that I've completed a task, and it goes and works out that it needs to call the remove to do function and removes the first item from the list. So there are only two functions I provided to ChatGPT here, but with those two functions, we're able to build quite a rich chat experience and interact with our model in several ways. What if I don't provide sufficient information? So we can say add another to-do item, but we don't tell it what it is. Absolutely, it says, but it asks what that should be. So perhaps it's go for a walk. You can see I do a lot of walking. So there we go, it's added go for a walk to my to-do list. Of course, the language model is good at creativity as well, so perhaps we can ask it to add a few more things for us. So add a couple of extra to-do tasks, make them up, make them fun and relaxing. I think I've even included a typo there, but it works out what my intention is, and it's gone ahead and and called the add to do 2 more times now to add more items to my list. So here we've shown we can interact with the model with natural language. It's got some power to be able to go and execute things on the back end and to go ahead and operate and do tasks for us. But that's not all it can do. It has the full power of ChatGPT, so it can do some quite fun and interesting things. So display these to-dos as a table, add a column for estimated time for completion. This will help me prioritize my tasks, so I know I've got enough time to do everything. But of course, it doesn't. I've not told it how long these tasks take. It's worked it out based on the knowledge it has about the world. So there we go. It's gone and estimated that a walk might last an hour. The poor old dog only gets 30 minutes, and the bins take 5. So I think they're pretty good times. I can add a column for a fun rating, perhaps. Another way of prioritizing my list. Use a star system to rate how fun each task is. I think the more precise you can make your requests here, the more likely you are to get exactly what you want. So being quite prescriptive is the best way to interact with this model. So the interesting thing here is it's kind of building on the context of the conversation. So it already knows there's I want my data in a table. It knows there's a time to completion column in there, and I'm hoping, there we go, it adds a fun rating on there too. So it's a contextual conversation where it knows what it's done previously and what I'm talking about. Of course, ChatGPT understands many languages, so we can display this table in different languages. Perhaps we can choose Spanish. I can't speak Spanish, so I'm just going to hope that it does a good job here. Please let me know if you think otherwise. And here we are. So we've got all our tasks in Spanish. Of course, ChatGPT understands data models as well, so we could ask for our data in a data structure too. So display the table as an XML file, and hopefully it'll generate the same data, but an XML, or we could ask for CSV or JSON or something to allow us to export it from this system and perhaps import it into another system. And we see sort of customers using ChatGPT as a means of data transformation and turning unstructured text into structured data models as one potential use case. So here we are. So here's our XML with our Spanish tasks, our minute estimated time rating, and our fun rating here, all in our XML format. So I hope this has been a kind of fun introduction as to how you can use the function calling capability of ChatGPT and to add a kind of Copilot experience to your software without too much integration there. I just exposed 2 functions and then wrap that, parse the response from ChatGPT to work out which function to call, sanitize the inputs, and then ran those functions. So it's fairly straightforward if you have a good API to be able to connect ChatGPT to that API to get it to go and execute tasks on your behalf, and making an experience where you don't just get it to augment and summarize data for you, but you can actually go and get it to action tasks for you and start to become really useful. So hopefully that was an interesting and enjoyable demonstration. Please let me know what you think.